All right, you are listening to the voice of the AI revolutions with your hosts. He is Oliver Yarbrough.
Yes.
I am Kirk Hunter, and this topic is 5 ways to grow your business with AI in 2019. Meaning right now, it's 2019 right now.
Live. We are in 2019. So if you're listening to this and you're not in 2019, these are applicable from 2019 on.
So we're going to cover 5 different ones. We're doing voice assistants, we're doing chatbots, we're doing onboarding, we're doing training, we're doing remote work. And we're basically just going to be giving you practical applications that you can use to grow your business. We're going to be providing examples where applicable. And we're just going to open you up. There's 5 different avenues in which you can utilize artificial intelligence. Whatever works best for your business, whatever combination works best for your business, we're here to help stimulate your intelligence in moving the ball forward. So let's start with voice assistants, Oliver.
Yeah. Well, this is something we touched upon quite a bit. I mean, we talked a lot about the Amazon Echo. We talked about Google Home. We talked about using applications on your phone or whatnot. But this is really about how can you leverage voice to grow your business? How can you offload things that you may be typing or you may be doing a lot of manual work on, that you could speed it up and be more productive by using your voice? So we had talked about tying into your CRM, looking at your various customer stats, and so that you can make your salespeople more intelligent or make yourself more intelligent before you go into a customer-client meeting. Also, we had talked obviously about different applications at your house, but translating, getting comfortable using the voice applications at your house, but then using that intelligence, that experience to then translate over into your work environment. So that's how we sort of look at that, and how we look at how we can expand upon it in a business context.
That's right. So if we're talking strictly about voice assistants, it could be something as simple as speaking into your CRM, your customer relationship management system, and saying, pull up analytics on this client. And then those analytics pull up directly. Is something that you can use as you're about to walk into a meeting, something that you can use as you're about to do a presentation. So that's just one practical use of voice assistants, and hopefully you can think of some other ones where if you just say it into your phone or your device, it'll pull up the data that you need.
Yeah, like another example too we had talked about is the translation aspect of it. I mean, we're in a global economy. This has been going on for quite some time. But a lot of us are limited by our mother tongue, whatever language of which we feel most comfortable in. And even if we translate, even if someone speaks in another language, there's still some nuances that might not translate over very well. Well, there are applications that are out where you can actually speak in your mother tongue, and the other person can listen in their mother tongue. They can then respond back in their mother tongue, and you can get their response back in your mother tongue. And you can have a very dynamic conversation back and forward, back and forth. That would have been quite difficult to have in days gone by where you did not have this voice assistance.
Correct. So you can actually look to expand your business globally using voice assistants because it will be able to translate for you.
I mean, for example, right? If you have ever sold anything on eBay or on Amazon, how many of you have not, if you're based in the United States, how many of you have not at least thought about ordering something wholesale from, say, China? And you ever had to get on the phone, or maybe you had some questions and it just didn't quite turn out the way you thought it would? Well, wouldn't it have been great if you could have spoken to them in your natural language again, gotten the point across in your natural language, just like we're speaking right now, and that person, say in China, could listen to your question in their natural language, in Chinese, respond back in Chinese, and then you get that response back in, say, English. Here's the key. That conversation or that dialogue does not need to happen in real time. It could be something where it could be, I don't know necessarily the time difference, but let's just say we have like a 12-hour time difference. So it could be 9 o'clock in the morning in the U.S. and say 9 o'clock at night in China. You could leave the message almost like a voicemail, but the voicemail's left in their natural language. So it's just as if you spoke with them, for example, in Chinese, and they got it in their natural language, and they responded back via an app in their natural language, say Chinese, and you got it back in the same app in English. I mean, do you see how beneficial that could be going back and forth like that?
Yeah, because the elimination of a language barrier, regardless of if it's real time or if it's on a delay, is always going to be invaluable.
Absolutely.
And that's going to bring us to our second way that you can grow your business with AI in 2019, and that is the chatbots. What say you on chatbots?
Wow. I mean, well, first of all, Kurt, when you think of a chatbot, what do you think of?
Oh, whenever I think of a chatbot, it's usually I'm on some sort of website, and then it pops up, "Hey, I see you're on the website. How do you do? What can I help you with?" But it's always some generic picture. I'm like, that's not what the person's looking like.
So, what if we could make that chatbot intelligent, smarter?
Okay.
I mean, it's personalized. I mean, that's what artificial intelligence really allows us to do in the online world. Is it allows us to personalize the experience. We've talked about in the past about Amazon, about how they do a great job of personalizing the experience, about what other people bought, like who bought a similar product. Well, a chatbot could do the same thing on your website. And when we talk about it, it does not necessarily have to be a voice chatbot. I mean, I don't need anybody, personalized or not, popping up on a website like, "Hey, how you doing?" No, that's not the kind of personalization I want.
Right.
But personalized in that maybe a simple way to start out, of which this has been going on for quite a while now, but just uploading like your FAQs. Like that's just a start. So I don't have to go searching because it's eliminating friction. If you do this right with the chatbots, they can reduce and or eliminate friction between your website visitors and your sale. Because anything that gets in the way between the customer clicking and buying something, and it's the infamous Amazon one-click sale, no buy,
Right.
like one click and you buy. There's no friction. But for some businesses, there are questions, right? So it's not as easy as like Amazon where I just click a button and buy something. Maybe I have a question or two. If you had just the simple FAQs loaded up, and some of these FAQs are 10, 20, 50 different answers, just load that up. And then they can either anticipate based on what you start typing, or in some cases, if it makes sense, it can be a voice enabled. So then the person has the option to either type it in if they're on a bus or train maybe, or they can voice it in if they're in their car, for example.
And another way to look at a chatbot and being automated, especially with your examples about FAQs, since we are targeting small business owners, entrepreneurs, high-performing individuals, one thing that we both know from working in business is typically a lot of issues that customers run into, 60 to 70% of it, sometimes 80% of it, depending on what the product is, can be answered through these FAQs, but people, they don't want to actually take the time to read the FAQs and follow all the steps themselves. But if somebody's walking them through it, giving them the exact same information, and it's all automated, and a bot can take care of it where you can have a smaller staff that's more agile, or your staff is able to handle more of your complex cases, that's definitely what you want to be able to do. Something that can be automated, they walk them through it, and then 60 to 70% of your issues are solved. So from a customer service standpoint, the issue got taken care of. They were none the wiser that they were with the bot, and they got their situation resolved.
Exactly. And we didn't put this down as one of the top 5 ways, but the whole voice search, which this chatbot fits into voice search as well, or it could be like another entry, like number 6 here on this list. But voice search, voicing in your request. So rather than typing in Google or anything, you voice it in. This is already happening. This is not something I'm just making up off the top of my head. This is actually happening right now. There is voice search. That's going to be the new big thing. We will have someone to talk about that in greater detail because that is a very exciting topic. Please stay tuned because we will be talking about that in a future episode. Having the ability to either do voice search on the internet, like say for example Google, or voice search on your website to find something. So just voicing in the individual words, not entire sentences, but just words, and then it pulls up all the different information or resources based on those keywords of which you verbally said.
And that's just another way that you can make your business more productive. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is onboarding, getting folks acclimated to their new surroundings.
Yes. I mean, onboarding can either really help your business or it can really be a deal killer.
Yes.
Because you go through all this work to get top-notch team players. And we're talking about high-performing individuals here. I mean, the people who are just lucky or happy to have a job, they'll work anywhere or anybody who pays them. We're talking about getting and retaining your top talent. So how you onboard them, which goes along with the previous episode, we talked about the mentoring and the coach in your pocket. This sort of goes along with that, is how you onboard a new person, particularly of the younger generation, but even some of the more experienced generations. I want to get up to speed, and maybe my boss doesn't have the time, or they did take the time, but my memory's a little bit shaky on what they might have said, and I'm a little bit embarrassed to go back and ask them. Well, if there was some way to onboard them where that was more automated, sort of maybe tying into our chatbot feature a bit, maybe bringing in some of that voice enablement where I can go through micro learning as I go, so I don't need to sit up and take up a half a day of my time or a day of my time, or it could be more remedial. This could be something worth thinking about, Kirk.
Yeah, when you think about onboarding, what we want you to start doing is looking at your overall process and saying to yourself, is there something that is so uniform that I can automate this particular piece, and then I can free up the people on my staff who are training, be it trainers, supervisors, whatever the case is, to only come in during certain portions. Therefore, I'm not losing them for half a day or an entire day or whatever the case is. So look at your processes and figure out what can be automated. What is so uniform that I can put that out there, have it self-taught, self-learned, whatever the case is, or something that has a simple interaction so I can free up my staff and I can be more productive.
And it's personalized. I love going back to what we talk through all of our episodes here. We talk about the personalization. We talk about the continuity. We talk about the flexibility. We talk about profitability. These are the things business owners, high-performing individuals, founders, business leaders care about. And onboarding is one of the most important things that a lot of us don't really pay as much attention to. In our haste to get people on board and get them working and making money and everything else, we don't think about the little things. And that's what we really want to really impress upon you when it comes to onboarding.
Right. You want them on board, but you also want them on board, knowledgeable, and ready to do the work properly. Actually, talking about personalization really segues perfectly into our next element, the way to grow your business, because when you think about personalization, a lot of people think about training.
Yes, this is something I'm passionate about. I mean, if you've listened to our show a little out here, you know that both of us, Kirk and I, we are both extremely passionate about business in general. But our backgrounds are varied. I mean, we have experience in project management. We have experience in sales and marketing. We have experience training. So training is something I am extremely passionate about. And I see the benefit AI can bring to training in the sense that the personalization. That's what a lot of training, particularly when we talk about learning. I know there's training and then there's learning, okay? Learning is more on demand, things of that nature. But the personalization of it, being able to give the person what they need, when they need it, how they need it, that makes a stronger bond. It gives lasting continuity to how they incorporate that into their jobs. And it's something that we can build on and scale going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that we have talked about in previous episodes is also some of the innovative ways that artificial intelligence has been doing training. We focused on millennials with one of our episodes, and it was very simple. It was a virtual coach that would send daily challenges. It would send affirmations. So the challenge would be, hey, today, ask nothing but questions. Challenge yourself to ask nothing but questions. So, for example, if somebody asks you what they should do, say to them instead, what would you do if you were in my shoes? And try to see if that's a skill that works well with you. And it's just different ways that you can be better today than you were yesterday, using artificial intelligence to expand your horizons.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, can't speak enough about training. It could supplement in-person training sometimes as well, because a lot of us are doing, I know I've done it, a lot of blended training. So blended training is when we do both in person, it could be live online or it could be in person, but we match that with on-demand learning. So it could be remedial, it could be something where people are getting a certain amount of training or learning ahead of class, after class, but personalizing that to each person. So for example, if you have 20 people in your class, and let's just say I have a class next month, okay? Each of those 20 people is going to have their own learning style, their own needs, their own experience levels. How traditionally training has been done, it's been a one-size-fits-all. I mean, either you get it or you don't.
Yep.
I mean, good luck. But with the ability to introduce AI to it, we can get some intelligence on each individual, and we can personalize the experience for them so that they get the most out of it. For example, to add on to it, some people are more auditory learners. Some people are more visual learners. Some people are more kinesthetic learners, meaning they learn best by engagement in doing it, like bakers. And so by knowing that, maybe we could give the kinesthetic person exercises that they can do beforehand or afterwards that reinforce what they saw in a video.
Right. And whenever you think about, training, you always also have to keep in mind, I know that there's a couple of old school folks who might be listening and saying, you know what, there's too much personalization.
They're experienced people.
Yeah. Experienced, I'm sorry.
Seasoned. How about that?
Seasoned. I still like old school. But yeah, seasoned, experienced, who was saying, they should be able to learn the way that we're teaching them. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of data. There's a lot more data out there now. If you're not leveraging the data to be more personalized and more targeting and more deliberate with the way that you're dispensing information, then you will be one of the folks who are getting left behind. So, it might be a tough concept to swallow. You might even feel like you're catering or pandering, but no, you're really just leveraging the data, the analytics that you have available to make yourself more productive. And speaking of more productive and leaving things behind, there's a lot of people who want to leave that commute to work behind, where they're sitting in traffic for hours.
I love sitting in traffic. Put me in some traffic, please.
Well, if they are sitting in traffic, then they can
listen to all yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that would be one benefit of sitting in traffic. Not too many others other than that. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is remote work.
Remote work, yes. So who doesn't like working remote? I mean, maybe not all the time, but at least some of your time, right? I mean, because a lot of people are more productive when they don't have to get up and get dressed and, maybe guys shave and women have to do what they do. But at the end of the day, you got to spend that time getting dressed, getting ready, eating breakfast, getting in your car or, on a train or on a bus or whatever, sit through that traffic, park. I mean, all the different things which you got to do just to get to the meeting, just to get into the office.
And heaven forbid you have like a middle schooler, because they don't start school until like 10 a.m. nowadays, and they're not getting on the bus for a while. Or elementary, where it's super early in the day as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a million and one things that could pop up that could make your schedule a little less flexible.
Right.
Particularly when we look, and I know we talk about this a lot, but the millennials and even some older generations, they're more interested in being compensated for their results than for their time. Because time is the most valuable thing you have. And it doesn't make sense like back in their old school. Oh, I got 8 hours, so I got my work done in 3 hours. I got to figure out what am I going to do with the next 5 hours. Or being penalized for actually getting the work done sooner because, now, great, good job, here's more work. Not saying that you don't want more challenges, but you know what? Tell me what you need done. Give me whatever training I need and let me do it. I mean, most of us who are go-getters, that's how we operate best. I mean, if you need to be constantly, told like what to do and constantly being watched over and have you worked 8 hours, dozing back to when I was working, like when I, coming out of high school and working those summer jobs and not quite interning yet. And I had a job like where I'd made some cabinets for like a Ford Vans or something. And that was hourly. It was like going back to like the Henry Ford days, Frederick Taylorism, where someone's standing there like with like a watch and timing you. Like, I'm like,
Yeah, you took it back to the assembly line. Ooh. Well, all right. Yeah, you put in the work there.
Hey, I did what I had to in order to make some summer money in between classes. Okay?
Understood. So what are some of the ways that folks can grow their business using remote work?
Yeah. All right. So as we talked about earlier with Alexa skills and with the ability to have voice enablement, virtual assistant, the AI-powered virtual assistant, sets to go into our calendars, tie it into our teams. So if I'm speaking about this from an owner, entrepreneur standpoint, I may have a remote team. I may have a couple people in India. I may have someone in the Philippines. I may have a couple people in the States, maybe on different time zones. This virtual assistant, I could program, say, an Alexa skill to go out there and coordinate everyone's calendar, do our messaging, or to tabulate our messaging in Slack. And I could, queue up any training that they need to have. I could have this all on deck. And so I could have recorded a couple of videos that I want my team in, say, India to watch in order to do some level of programming. And then I have a customer service person, say, over here. And I can do all this and have this tied into my training and everything, tied into our meetings, of which when we do need to have meetings, we can all tie in at the same time in different time zones, have it all queued up virtually, and then it just sets aside time so me or my assistant isn't out there having to do all this stuff manually. It can be done more automated through artificial intelligence.
Right. So just to recap, we want you guys to be thinking about, researching, ideating, and philosophizing on these 5 ways that you can grow your business in 2019.
Yes, and understand, we will be bringing you thought leaders, speakers, people who have expertise in each of these individual areas, because each one of these is its own rabbit hole.
Yes.
I mean, we could go deep into the crevices of these rabbit holes, but we want to just enlighten you, get your mind going, get the brain juices flowing, so as we start introducing different experts and different applications, it all starts making sense.
Right. So along those veins, we want to expand your mind. So we want you to be thinking, how can I use voice assistants to grow my business? How can I use chatbots to grow my business? How can I use AI to assist with my onboarding?
Yes.
What part of my onboarding can be automated so I can free up staff?
Yes.
How can I use AI with training? How can I personalize the training and automate the training for my specific staff members who each have different motivations, so I can speak to them exactly where they live? And how can I free up my staff to work remotely from different locations?
How can I free up my time? Okay, as the owner, entrepreneur, I want to free my time up too, right?
Because interestingly enough, if people are working remote, you can actually expand your business globally.
Get out of here.
Yeah, if you're not investing in as much physical infrastructure,
you can
actually expand.
Do you mean I could possibly work from a beach in Costa Rica?
Yes. Wow. Yes, you can work from a beach in Costa Rica, and so can your clients. Yeah.
Hey, I don't know about you. I'm sold. Sign me up.
All right. So hopefully this has been helpful. Get the juices going. Get you in the liftoff stage of your creative process and figuring out how you can grow your business with AI in 2019. He is Oliver Yarbo.
Yes.
I am Kirk Hunter. This was the voice of the AI revolution. Thank you so much for listening.
Revolution.
Viva la revolution.